Hello friends, it's your boy Treyant, back again with another draft analysis. This one is for the PMPL Wi-Fi League. The PMPL is a server that I started up with a couple friends almost a year ago now, and we are finally having our first Wi-Fi division in Season 3. We got a very stacked roster of coaches behind us, but none that I don't think I can take down, so I'm very much looking forward to taking home the chip in my first Wi-Fi division in my own server. So without further ado, we can go ahead and get straight into the draft analysis. I was fourth pick in this draft. There were really two Pokemon that I was looking at grabbing. The first one being Gouging Fire, and the second one being Latios, because at this point in the draft, I was in 4 drafts at once. And those were like the two Pokemon that I hadn't picked up yet. I had used all the new DLC Pokemon except for one, but it wasn't a first round pick. So I had already drafted all the new DLC Mons, all the DLC 1 Mons, and then there were a couple Pokemon that were returning in DLC that I really wanted to try, and one of them being Latios. Well, Gouging Fire got taken second, Latios got taken third, and so now I'm sitting here not knowing what to do. So I decided to pick up something that I've also never used in draft, that I think is going to be very fun and very good to use, very hard to prep for as well. We decided to pick up Deoxys Speed. So Deoxys Speed, obviously second fastest Pokemon in the format with a base 180 speed. It's got good special and physical attacks. It's got Nasty Plot. I don't think it has Swords Dance or Bulk Up, but it also has Calm Mind. We get Rocks and Spikes, we get T-Wave, we get Taunt. The only thing that I think this Pokemon is missing is U-Turn or Volt Switch. I feel like looking at this thing, it should be able to Volt Switch, but maybe that's just me. But this Pokemon is very good. It has a lot of utility. It has decent natural bulk with its defense and special defense, but a base 50 HP is just not cutting it. But it's going to be very good for this team. I'm very happy that I was able to pick it up. So going into the next round, like I said, there were a couple DLC Mons that I had not taken yet, one of those being Gouging Fire, and the second one being Hydrapple. So I was able to pick up Hydrapple. I was very surprised that this thing made it to me, given just the whole new toy syndrome thing. And so yeah, being able to pick this thing up, I was very excited. Regenerator is my favorite ability in the game. Torntea is my favorite Pokemon. I was just very excited to use it. It's got a very unique move pool. It's got Nasty Plot Recover, it gets Yawn and Curse. Its coverage is not that amazing. It really gets nothing for fairies, but other than that, it's a very fun Pokemon to use. And I'm very excited to use it. It's very bulky, very slow. If I ever want to run Trick Room, my team definitely can work in Trick Room. That's funny saying that because my first pick was a Deoxys Speed. But yeah, that definitely can work if that's something I ever want to try. Yeah, one of the Pokemon I really wanted to pair with Hydrapple and Deoxys Speed was somebody to set a lot of hazards, because Deoxys hits just not hard enough to be able to sweep on its own, but with hazard support, Deoxys definitely can clean up games or break early on, so that way something else can clean up later on. So we decided to pick up Ting Lu. I thought Ting Lu was perfect for this team. It gives us a second ice weakness with Hydrapple, so we're going to need to fix that a little bit later on. But Ting Lu, the premier hazard setter, you can argue that it's the best hazard setter in the game. I would say it's probably Glamora, but Ting Lu is right up there. It's never going to die in one hit unless there's like a +2 Mega Gallade in front of you or something like that. It's got very good natural bulk. It's got very good attack stat. You can run it offensive if you need to. It's got a decent move pool. It's got everything you need for a ground type. The only thing it's missing is knockoff, being a dark type, but we can work around that because we have plenty of knockoff users to come. So next, I really did not want to wait and get a low tier spinner or just removal in general, because I feel like I always put off getting my removal till late, and it always bites me in the butt. So I decided to go ahead and pick up Blastoise. Blastoise, probably one of the better spinners in the format. It's very bulky. Once again, hardly is ever dying to one hit unless you EV it incorrectly. It also has setup potential with Shell Smash. It's got good utility moves like Yawn. I think it also gets Roar, so that's also going to come in handy. So Blastoise is just a very good utility mon. Can run it physical or special, so it kind of helps with my diversity. And yeah, going into our next pick, we decided to take another Pokemon that I surprisingly have not used yet because it just never fell to me when I was ready to pick it up, and that is Okidogi. Okidogi is one of those Pokemon that I think is just always going to contribute. It's so naturally bulky that unless you're hitting it with a Psychic type move, it's probably not getting O-Code, meaning that it's always going to come in and take a hit and then fire one back. It's got a very good natural attack stat that if you want to run max HP and max defense or Spadef with an AV, you totally can, and you're still going to hit like a truck. It's got very good utility with things like Drain Punch and Taunt. Toxic Chain is a very stupid ability. It helps break walls, even ones that resist you. And then obviously the Steel types that can't be hit by poison moves, you have Fighting type coverage for it. I was very excited to pick up Okidogi. It's the only one that I have not used yet, and so I was very excited to pick it up. Going into our next pick, I think I got sniped out of this next pick, and I had to pick up something else. I don't remember what it is that I wanted because it's been a little while since we drafted. But I decided to pick up Raikou. Raikou, very fun Pokemon in this format. It got Scald. I don't know how long it's had Scald because I have not played Raikou since Gen 7, but I'm very excited to use this thing. It finally got a move to hit ground types. It's got a very good speed tier that I was very much in need of. And yeah, there's not really too much else to say about Raikou's kind of like, not really a one-trick pony because it can run Setup or Specs or Scarf, but everybody knows what it does. I don't really need to talk about it too much. So yeah, going into my next pick, my team is very weak to ground. I only have one resistance, no immunities. I wanted to pick up Talonflame, but it got taken right before this pick. Well, I wanted to pick up Talonflame, but it got sniped, so I picked up Raikou for the speed tier and ended up picking up Moltres. Moltres is a Pokemon that I have not used before, and that's kind of the whole theme with this team, is I wanted to more so have fun by picking things that I haven't used and I really wanted to, but also still stay competitive, and I do think I have a good shot of making playoffs and winning. But Moltres, it's one of those Pokemon for me that if I ever use it, it's just not good. But every time it's used against me, it feels like it's always just like an MVP. Moltres and Snorlax are the two Pokemon that I just cannot seem to figure out how to use, but we drafted it. We're going to see if we can make it work this time. I think we have a good supporting cast around it. It's a very good Spadef wall, and it's actually decently bulky on the Fizz side. I think we're going to definitely utilize this thing correctly, and I'm very excited to use Moltres. So going to our next pick, started to look at Terra Captains. There was one that I was eyeing from the very beginning. So the way we did our Terra Captains is any Pokemon 5 points and under is allowed to have open Terra, so it can be any type you choose, and we just have to tell our opponents what type that is before the game starts, so Terra preview. And so there were a couple Pokemon that caught my eye, things like Crocalor, other Pokemon that were just like really bulky, some Eviolite mons, and then some other really good mons that I think probably shouldn't have been allowed to Terra. We decided to take Komala. Komala is another guilty pleasure Pokemon of mine. I have used Komala plenty of times. It's very bulky. It hits decently hard. And with Terra, I think this thing can be very, very under-prepped for. For 5 points, this thing is amazing. Spoiler alert, I did not draft a fairy, so more than likely I will be playing this thing as Terra Fairy more often than I would like. Maybe I will change that in free agency if it ends up being a problem. But this thing is very good. It's a spinner. It hits very hard. It's got really good coverage. It gets U-turn to go along with some of my other U-turn and Volt Switch people. And then it's also got Wish. It's a good AV mon if I ever need it for something like Chi-Yu, Spectre, anything like that. It can always take a hit. It's very bulky. So going into my next two picks, I was playing this whole draft a little cheap. Deoxys was at 18, but after that, I was kind of playing it a little cheap. You know, Hydrapple and Tinglu are both 15, Blastoise and Dogi are both 11, Raikou 12, Moltres 10, Komala 5. I still had a lot of points at this time, so I decided to fill in my gaps with two pretty expensive last two picks. We decided to pick up Magnezone. It gives me a second electric type, another Volt Switcher, another Pokemon weak to ground, unfortunately. But at the same time, Magnezone I thought was a good fit for this team. It helped me with things like Fairy Weakness, which I currently did not have a single resist for outside of Moltres. But using Moltres defensively every week is just not going to cut it. So yeah, having Magnezone I thought was very nice. And it kind of just worked out perfectly that it was able to come to me, and I did snipe somebody out of it towards the end, if I believe. And then going into my last pick, we're going to take our fourth most expensive mon of the draft with our last pick. We do not have a ghost type, so we decided to take Gengar, my second favorite Pokemon of all time. I'm very excited to use Gengar again. I do think that it is a little overrated in draft. I think losing Levitate back in Gen 7, I think, really killed it. But then also, I feel like it just doesn't hit as hard as it needs to, and I feel like you're locked into Scarf more often than you'd want to be. But it does fit this team very well. It gives me a second grounded poison, which is never a bad thing. It gives me some good resistances and immunities that I needed, and it also is going to help with the fairies that I really do struggle with. So yeah. This is my team. We play week 1 against my good friend Nuglo. I will say that a lot of the people in this Wi-Fi division are brand new coaches, so I am not familiar with a majority of them. I've never played against them. I haven't even talked to some of them. So I'm very excited to get to meet some of these new people and play against some potentially really good battlers. And yeah, I'm very excited that my league is finally getting into the Wi-Fi scene. Very excited for that to keep going, and I hope that we can keep it going in the future. But yeah, if you guys like this team, just feel free to let me know in the comments. Let me know if there's anything you guys think I should change, and I will see you guys in the week 1 battle. Peace.